and welcome to Doing Time, where humans talk about their experiences in a psych ward. Today we have guest Maren Gelfond, one of my good friends. Hello, Maren.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. So we're going to talk about your experiences in a psych ward, also things around that, just like mental health and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So the first question I always ask is, how much time have you done, meaning like in a psych ward, therapy programs, things
I
like
was
that.
there for 2.5 days.
Uh-huh.
Just once.
Okay. In, like, what state?
So I was in college, so it was in the middle of Missouri. I did it at the University of Missouri.
Okay.
Psych evaluation place.
Okay.
The psych ward there.
Yeah.
And it was wild. Like, being there was so weird, and then, like, how it happened was also really weird. Mm-hmm. Not really. I mean, it was pretty normal for me.
Okay. But, so what led you... I mean, also this podcast, share whatever you want. Don't share whatever you, like, don't feel comfortable sharing. What led you to being hospitalized?
So it was, like, stop day. It was right before finals. Mm-hmm. First semester, my junior year, so I was, like, 21 for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I'd gone out with a friend, and we were drinking, and we had dinner, and, like, drinking more. And I don't know, there was, like, kind of a little bit of a brownout. Yeah. And then I was home. Mm-hmm. And the next thing I know, I'm, like, going to my kitchen in my apartment. Cause I lived with 4 people. I was one of 4. We all had our own bedroom, own bathroom. We had a shared space. Yeah. So it's, like, literally 3 a.m. Okay. Go to the kitchen, grab a knife. I don't know what compelled me to do it. Okay. It was just, like, that kind of, like, pimple forming ahead where it was... This was, like, the official, like, thing, you know? This was my breaking point. Yeah. And I had, like, figured out that I was, like, not going to do well on my finals. Was not going to do well in my marketing class, which really mattered to my major. It mattered to the degree I was going to get. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, this is where I have to something has to change. Mm-hmm. So I go and I get the knife, and I'm, like, in my bed.
So you're drunk, though?
Hammered.
Yeah.
And I'm, like, trying to cut myself, and our knives were really dull, so it was just, like, more of a bruising kind of thing, and, like, I still have a scar from it, but, like, I never bled. There was no blood, so I was like, okay, put the knife on the ground. I was like, what do I do now? And I only
you're like, I'm not even good at this.
I was like, yeah, I'm seriously failing at just doing one thing that I thought was going to help me. Yeah. And it didn't, and, like, I remember I was like, okay, I guess I should just, like, jump off the balcony. Like, I didn't know. I didn't think I wanted to commit suicide, but I knew I needed something that was going to, like, have a release. Yeah. And I never really contemplated suicide. Like, I knew people did it, and I knew it was totally possible. Yeah. And I'd known that there were, ways to do it. I'd known all the different ways. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'll jump off the balcony, whatever. I was on the 2nd floor. It's not like that would have really done anything. I would have really just hurt myself.
That's that's almost scarier. I was talking to Derek recently, who was on the podcast, and he was saying that he lived on the 5th floor and was going to jump off, and he's like, I was just scared I was going to survive if I jumped off. Like, because, I mean, and I don't want to get, like, too graphic, but he's like, if I jumped off, like, the 5th floor, like, I probably would just end up in a wheelchair the rest of my life, and, like, I would rather die than
I literally looked out over, and I was like, okay, so there's grass and bushes. Right. Yeah. I'm not going to, nothing is really going to happen that is going to end this. Yeah. So I was like, can I swear? Yeah. I literally said, fuck it. And I FaceTimed my best friend, and she's like, why are you sobbing? And she was drunk too, because it was, like, nighttime and it was, like, a weekend. Yeah. She's like, what is going on? So I held up my wrist, and it, like, you could see that there was, like, some sort of attempt at something there. And she's like, Maren, we'll talk about this later. Just call 911. And I was like, okay. Oh, wow. So I tried to call a couple other people just to, like, get like, my head together. Yeah. And no one was answering. Obviously, it was 3 a.m. Right. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to call 911.
How did you feel that your friend said that, though? Were you like...
I was expecting it. She's very logical. She's a CPA. Okay. So her brain is very ABCD. So I was like... Yeah, I already knew that I was going to do it. I just I think I needed that extra push.
I just think if somebody, like personally, I think if somebody told me that, I would be like, fuck you. Yeah, like, come pick me up. Like, what do you...
I know, she was in Indiana and I'm in Missouri.
Oh, that's hard, too. Shit. Okay, I totally get that.
Yeah. So, I mean, my family was 6.5 hours away driving.
Yeah.
So I was like, the only people I have to turn to are people here at Mizzou.
Right.
And they're all asleep. I'm not waking anybody up. That's selfish of me to wake someone up about this.
Yeah.
So called 911. What's your emergency? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, I need to go somewhere where I know that, like,
I'll be
someone
safe.
is watching me.
Yep, that was how I was
like I need to be watched because I'm going to be a danger to myself.
Yeah.
And I've considered dangerous activities and I've done something dangerous to myself. So I just need to be watched. So the police came and they're knocking on the door and they're banging and I was like, shh. I let them in. I go, you have to be quiet. No one can know that you're here. This needs to be as quiet as possible.
Isn't that so funny, though?
Do not want to make a scene. I don't want my roommates to know until I choose to tell them that, like, this has happened. So they're, like, talking really loud, and the hallways in my apartment building echo because it was, like, outside. You, like, walk out and you're outside. It's just, like,
college,
a roof.
Like, apartments like that are very,
so I was like, shh. And they're, like, clomping, and I was like, I'm sorry, you really have to be quiet. Like, nobody can know. I
Police don't really have, like,
I felt like I was
quaint
like
knocks.
a famous person. They're like holding me under my arm. And first of all, I didn't have my contacts in. I had my glasses in. I had no bra, no underwear, no socks. I'm literally wearing winter boots, a pair of leggings, like a sweatshirt. I was completely unprepared. I thought I was going to go home the next day kind of thing.
Okay, I see.
But obviously I didn't.
Right.
So I get there and they breathalyze me. It's the hospital at Mizzou. It's not even the closest one to my apartment building. It's the Mizzou hospital because I was a student.
Yeah.
So
I've been there. Because, let me just tell you, I don't know if this, like, preludes into your experience, but I used to go to a Jewish summer camp in Missouri, and so on our days off.
Oh, my God, yeah, wait, where was it? What's it called?
Camp Sabra.
Right, so that's how you know
Right,
all of
so
the
on our
Mizzou
days
people
off,
and
we would
API.
go, so on our days off, we would go to Columbia and, like, hang out, because that was, like, the only, like, civilization towards us. So we'd go and hang out, and I had an allergic reaction to peanut butter and had to be, like, driven to the Mizzou hospital, and it was the worst experience I've ever had. Like, this is an example of how bad they are. I was, like, violently, like, throwing up, and, like, in the waiting room I was throwing up, right?
Yeah.
Like, while they were getting my information,
you're
like, I need your birthday. Yeah, exactly. And so I was, like, throwing up or whatever, and then I get into the hospital room, and I'm like, I'm going to throw up again. They gave me the same bucket of throw up that was, like, in the waiting room. They're like, let me bring it in. I'm like, this is the most sterile place. Like, you don't have another bucket.
You think it's sterile.
Yeah, bucket to throw me in, and, like, they, like, brought in, like, 7 medical students. It was like, this is what allergic reaction looks like. Like, I was, like, a zoo animal.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it really wasn't a good experience.
But you have to remember you're in Missouri.
No, I know. But that's why I was like, this isn't, like, I'm not at Northwestern or Rush Medical Hospital where, like, everything is treated like you have, something
like
serious.
You're in Chicago.
You're
in the middle of Missouri.
So, yeah, when you said it was wild, I was like, I'm sure. Because I've literally been there. Yeah. Where it was, like, medical students. I'm like, are you guys even, like, allowed to take care of me?
That's what when I was laying there and I breathalyzed, I don't even know what the verb is. I breathed, and then they were like, okay, you have to wait because you're too drunk. So I was like, I'm really not that drunk. Like, I didn't think I was that drunk, but everyone kept telling me I was so drunk, all of the hospital, and I was like, I'm a college student. This is, like, a pretty normal. This
is my pregame.
This is a pretty, like, normal coming out of a brownout for me.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
Because I didn't black out. I was, like, slowly sobering up. By this time, it was, like, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Right. So then what was your process, like, getting admitted? So you were there, and they breathalyzed you, and then they probably asked you.
They made me wait.
Right.
And they were like, okay, we'll come back in an hour. Breathalyze me again. That was the waiting, was the most insane part. And then they took me to a room somewhere else. I had to sign a bunch of things. I had to hand all my stuff over. They gave me that orange, I don't even know what material outfit that is. And then they had me in a room with...
What were you wearing?
That orange thing. They make you wear, like...
Are you serious?
Oh, my God, yeah. I had to change my outfit.
Like a jumpsuit?
Was it? It was 2 pieces. It was an orange T-shirt.
Did you feel like...
Literally made out of, like, a little more than paper towel, but less than cotton.
It was orange? Like
it was
you were a prisoner?
Orange. Yep. So...
Wow, I've honestly never heard of that. This is a first.
Yeah. And it was. I was like, whatever. This is what is supposed to happen. Yeah. I didn't really have anything to base off of it. Right. So they stick me in this room. It was like, I don't even know what it was, but I remember I was just sitting on the floor because I didn't want to sit on the chair. Yeah. Sign all the stuff. Then they take me upstairs, and this time it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, and the doctor is trying to explain to me like what the process is, and I was like, I really can't pay attention. I just need to go to bed. I'm really tired. It's 6 in the morning. I've been up all night.
Yeah.
And he was
you
like,
wanted to kill yourself. It's exhausting.
Yes. Like, the trauma from that, like, that's any sort of trauma.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. And he's like, okay, I have a few more things to say. I was like, I promise you, it's not going to process in my head. I need to go to bed. So luckily there weren't that many people there, I guess, because I had my own room for the first day. Mm-hmm. I slept the whole entire day.
Yeah.
They tried to wake me up to go to group therapy, do all that clinical stuff. Mm-hmm. I did have to go to the doctor, and they upped my dosage of Zoloft, which obviously didn't help. It just made me, like, grind my teeth and, like, you know.
So you had, like, side effects from that. Yeah.
Tried to make me eat. I didn't want to eat anything.
Yeah.
It was really the most peaceful I had been in a long time, like, at peace, because I didn't have to go to school. I didn't have to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have to worry about myself because I was just, all I wanted to do was sleep. You know? It was like that for 2 days.
I know. I slept for, like...
So they called my dad at, like, 5 in the morning, and he said, I get the call, I answer, whatever, we're done talking. That was my home phone. He goes, I go back to bed. And then I go, what the fuck am I doing? And he gets up and packs a bag because he has to now drive 6.5 hours to go get me.
Oh, wow.
So he wasn't there until, 11.
Oh, my God.
Probably later. Noon.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to see him until 6 p.m. They made my dad wait.
Oh, because of visiting hours?
They made my dad wait.
So he, like, drove 6 and then waited.
Waited. In the waiting room of the psych ward.
Wow.
And one of my friends was there from Mizzou, too, and she, like, gave me this note and whatever. My dad's like, whatever, we'll figure this out. You were really drunk.
Yeah. But like, in the beginning you said you don't really know, like, what led to it, but I'm sure you did. I mean, even when you're drunk, like, it kind of just exacerbates what you're already feeling.
Oh, exactly. Drunk words or sober thoughts or whatever.
Right. Oh, yeah. Did you feel like what you did was, like, conducive to how you were feeling before, though? Like, before you were drunk? Like, have you...
Oh, yeah, I felt shitty for a long time.
Yeah, I've known you for a while, and I know you're, like, an anxious person, so do you think, like...
Always had anxiety. I did not know... I was not diagnosed with depression until, like, college. Mm-hmm. And, like, my whole first semester, junior year, was just shitty. Mm-hmm. Like, I was super sad. I wanted to drop out. Didn't think I could... Because it was the first time where I was like, I'm not going to be in the journalism school. Like, this is the whole reason I came out here to the farmlands, to the armpit of America, where it's 100% humidity every day. Yeah, and I literally, like, why am I here? Mm-hmm. So it was like that whole plan B and not being able to cope with the plan B.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, that makes total sense. I mean, it's a huge life change. And then also when you don't have almost like a plan C, you think the only plan is, like, when you have an anxious mind or depressive mind, the only plan is to kill yourself. Mm-hmm. Like, that's how I viewed it, where, like, I think that's why I attempted suicide when I tried to quit diving, and I think it was because there was no other option. Right. It was either I quit diving, which I couldn't handle. Right. Or I stay in diving, which I couldn't handle. Right. So I shouldn't be here. Exactly. That's kind of where your logic goes. Right. It's never, because it's almost too much in the moment, where, like, I can't even live past this moment, because if I don't get out of this right now, I'm gonna die. Literally, like, the thing about anxiety is you're constantly looking at the future, and I'm like, I can't see the future, so clearly I'm not in it. Right, exactly. Like, that's exactly how I feel. Yeah. Are you a big visualization person? Huge. Yeah. I visualize myself getting a job, and I still don't have one. So that's how I feel about it. But you know what's going to happen, though. Eventually. Yeah, no, you know what's going to happen. And the thing is it makes it so much more rewarding when that type of thing happens, especially, like, doing something in the entertainment industry, like comedy. It's like, I know things are going to get better, even when I bomb, but... Yeah, and this is, like, I don't want to say a hobby, but it gives you joy. Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And I don't have anything like gives me joy like Netflix. I watch TV all the time. No, for sure. I need something else so that it takes my mind off the fact that I am not at all where I'm supposed to be at the age of 24. Or where your 18-year-old expected what I'll be at 24. This is what it will be. But I'm the type of person that, like, I'm not the most. I'm not religious at all. I'm very. I've talked about this. Like, I'm very culturally. Affiliated with Judaism. Yes. I don't really practice the religion, but I'm so connected to people that are Jewish. I just feel like I automatically have a connection with them. But I do think that everything happens for a reason, and not in the spiritual sense, but I'm able to look back once something does happen. I'm like, oh, this is why it happened. Oh, yeah. Like, if I didn't quit comedy, or quit diving, I wouldn't have started comedy. Right. And I wouldn't be talking to you. Like, yeah.
That I think that a lot, like if I actually was successful with whatever was going to happen that night, wouldn't have gone to where all those countries I went to last summer, wouldn't have seen Fleetwood Mac live, like wouldn't have had all these amazing memories with my friends that have happened in the past, you know, however many years.
Right.
And also
That's
if
great.
that didn't happen then, it probably would have happened now because
you're prolonging
hard right now.
What I say too is like if it doesn't happen, you're kind of just prolonging the inevitable. Or like maybe I would have started comedy, but I wouldn't have started it earlier, and then maybe my path would have looked different. And then same with you, like there's a lot of things that, I mean, I don't know what would happen if I continued diving, but I mean, I remember too where I transferred to DePaul and I didn't feel like I belonged there necessarily, but I had an out, if that makes sense. So that sometimes can be maybe like frustrating for you because I had an out with comedy. All my friends are from comedy. So when I go to class and I don't talk to people and I'm like, oh, these two people are friends. Why don't I have friends here? I'm like, oh no, but I have a different set of friends, you know? So like but then before I started DePaul, I took like a waiting period where I was just working on my OCD.
Yeah.
And that for me was really difficult because I wasn't doing anything.
Right.
I didn't have a job. My job was therapy.
Yes.
And then therapy, it still feels like you're not doing work because you're just
it's
talking about yourself.
It's like, so like to me, I am not in therapy currently because I know the triggers that happen if I need it, and I'm good right now. Like, yeah,
that's great.
Even though it fucking sucks that I don't have a job, like, I have an amazing support system, and I know a job will come, and like I shouldn't make that my life.
Right.
So I know I've got my friends. I have like the little things that I enjoy to do, but it's just like I couldn't imagine thinking that you're supposed to be somewhere like you, and then not having anything to turn to. Yeah,
it's a very big thing in our society too, where like, especially being Jewish.
North Shore.
Oh, yeah.
There are so many issues that everything's like a secret.
Oh, yeah. You know what's funny is, so me and Maren are from Deerfield, which is
a North Shore suburb of Chicago.
And it's very interesting that you like bring that up because
very affluent.
I never told people I transferred, and I see people from high school and they're like, oh, you went to Denver, right? And I'm like, that's so funny that like I kept the secret because I wasn't on social media for the year and a half that I like took off,
right?
And that was the best thing I could have done for my mental health because I never talked about transferring. I never talked about the reason why I transferred. I never talked about quitting diving. I never talked about starting comedy until I started comedy, and I was like, this is what I'm doing.
Right.
You don't know where I am, how I got there, but this is just what I'm doing. And that was the best way I could have coped with it because our suburb is so talkative, cliquey. It's really Jewish, and not that like Judaism's a bad thing, but the whole thing with being Jewish is that you have to go to college. If you don't go to college, what are you doing?
Right.
And then if you don't stay in college, okay, are you starting your own business? Like what?
Exactly.
And that's the only option. Starting your own business, or you're like super successful.
Money wise, like you've got a lot of cash.
Oh, a lot. Yeah. So. But I understand because I can't imagine living, and like once I moved out of the North Shore, everything got better, and like not to, you know, but that's what happened. You're like, move out.
I still live at home, everyone, with my parents and my brother.
No, but I get it. It's hard, and I mean, I had like a pretty aggressive eating disorder, and then when I moved out, it got so much better.
Yeah.
Because I had more to do. I think part of my eating disorder was just boredom, and that was the only thing I could control.
Yeah, what am I going to do? Walk outside and see people's homes like in the city? It's so. I mean, I'm here every weekend. All my friends have done.
Yeah, for sure,
so
and that's definitely like, a good escape.
Let's just go for a walk, okay?
Right.
And there's like people to see, and there's like
places
stuff around you, and like you could just pop in, and there's always dogs around.
Yeah,
like,
there's
not
a pond
at my house right now
with like old people sitting there, and that's like where I used to live.
Yeah,
it was like a pond.
I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
Well, you lived in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
But there was nothing ever goes on in any neighborhood.
No.
And then Coromandel.
Right.
Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
I just remember because like that's where I had two friends there.
Yeah. Yeah. My aunt moved into my old house, and then now she moved out. So it's just like this. It's interesting to like talk to people who like I'm in a completely different
old people.
Yeah, I'm in a completely different world now.
Yeah.
Like it's so interesting to meet people or like see people from high school, and they're like, yeah, I'm like still friends with this person. I'm like, whoa.
Right.
I have like 4 friends.
Oh, have you talked to so-and-so? Why?
Right.
I saw someone at Nordstrom when I was downtown.
Yeah.
I'm not exaggerating. I made eye contact with them and their mom, and instead of like waving or saying hi, I squatted on the ground.
Stop it.
And hid behind a clothes rack.
Like when you're like 5.
And my friend's like, what are you doing? And I go, shh.
Yeah.
So-and-so is over there. She's like, oh.
And then she ducked it. Stop it. Did she say hi?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, no.
And
then you have to come over and
wait it out. I didn't go over there. They just think I'm weird. I was like, whatever. I do not want to talk to them.
No, it's definitely.
Hi, how are you? Oh my God! Like you look so skinny.
Yeah.
What have you been doing?
Yeah.
Nothing.
No, it's very well. The whole thing's really disingenuous, so it's really hard to, especially somebody like you, and that's why I think we were kind of drawn to each other in high school. Is we're both really honest.
I'm not gonna fake. I don't fake anything.
Yeah, and that's why it's probably really difficult for you to see people because it's interesting when some people started messaging me when I started doing comedy, and they're like, "Oh, I see blah blah blah."
I don't even remember how I found this podcast or you. Like, I don't remember how we reconnected.
Yeah, I think you messaged me on Instagram, but probably through like one of my stories. But I definitely like that's how I promote everything is through stories and everything. And no, it's just super funny like the specific people who reach out to you and I do think people change, but I definitely like people. I think that's where a lot of my anxiety stems from is like, oh, well, people in high school like think XYZ, and then I stopped thinking about it because I'm like, oh, why would I care what they think? Because I'm not. Yeah. I've
been having stress dreams where I forget my locker combination at Deerfield.
Are you serious?
In E-Hall. What's that? Why? I've been graduated for 6 years.
Right. No, it's insane.
Or I keep skipping Spanish and then I have a Spanish test, and
Yeah, that's really bad anxiety. I know those dreams are.
That just started happening too, so it's funny that I'm with you.
We are back from break. Hello, and we're gonna talk about how alcohol affects mental health, and obviously you kind of touched on that in your experience and how that kind of led you to where you know what happened,
right? And
but kind of not like a suicide attempt, but more of just like I need help sort of thing. So so what are your thoughts on that? And
Great intro, thanks.
Your turn.
I just, from a lot of people that I've spoken to who have mental health issues, there's always some sort, of substance that kind of pushes them somewhere. Yeah. So obviously, as just like a human being who's grown up and gone to college, like alcohol is the most attainable substance for us. And I'm annoyed when people don't think it's a drug because it's 170,000% a drug.
It's just labeled something different.
Right.
I mean, it alters your state of mind.
Absolutely.
Anything that alters your state of mind
is a drug.
And
for me, it's shopping too. But
who calls it not a drug when they're not justifying it though? It's always somebody who's saying, "Oh, it's not a drug," when they're justifying their abuse with it, somebody else's abuse, or their overuse,
right?
Or justifying it's not a drug because of something in their own life. It's never really like something good that happened and they're like, oh, it's not a drug. It's like, no, you're saying it's not a drug for a reason so that you can justify you being better or whatever. Exactly.
Like, I'm not addicted. That's what people who are addicted.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, and obviously that in my thing and what we kind of talked about was just that it exacerbates everything. Like you said, your words drunk are your sober thoughts, which sometimes it's not, but sometimes it's...
I'll say whatever, whenever, it doesn't matter what state of mind, but I won't do things.
Oh, so it's more action.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I'm more thoughts and also both. So actually it's interesting that you mentioned that. I never attempted suicide when I was under the influence. However, I only cut myself when I was drunk. Usually I cut myself for probably like 4, 5, 6 months, and it wasn't like every day. It was only when I got super overwhelmed.
Exactly.
And a lot of the times I did it when I was drunk. So after I think after the last time I cut myself, I went to the hospital, and then after that I didn't drink for a year and a half because I was scared. And then I also had an eating disorder, so I had this mindset that alcohol would make me fat. So that was also part of my mental health thing.
Right, totally.
Yeah, so...
Just makes me laugh.
Yeah, but like that was my whole mentality, was that alcohol is going to make me fat. It's going to do all these things to me that it never did before. I gained 15 pounds when I was a freshman. That must be from alcohol. So it affected my mental health not only when I was harming myself, but also when I had an eating disorder.
Yeah, I think I gained all my weight sophomore year.
From drinking?
Yeah. And I had a boyfriend who was also bigger, and our thing was like food.
Yeah, for sure.
I gained a lot of weight
relationships,
then.
Yeah, definitely.
Then we broke up like right before the end of the year. That was the end of my sophomore year. I dropped 13 pounds in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Then I had my breast reduction.
Okay.
And I was like,
yeah.
like so cute.
Yeah.
I was like super confident. I didn't care that I had scars. Like,
right.
That was like such an amazing point in my life. So the fact that a year, like literally 6 months later, was going to be the worst part of my life, it's just super interesting how it was like such a high. And then.
Oh, it's so interesting how things can like alter. Because I remember, that's funny you say that, because I remember when I got my tattoo. We both have fever tattoos. We both have breast reductions. It's just funny.
It's permanent body stuff, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So I got my tattoo, and it said I can and I will, and it was a way for me to cope with my OCD.
Right.
Because like on the diving board, I was thinking I'm gonna hit the board. I'm gonna hit my head. I'm gonna.
I remember
whatever.
all of
my tics
things.
Yeah. So basically, my therapist, she verbatim goes, "All right, Joe, I know you're gonna think this is gay, okay?" She's like, "But you need to come up with a mantra." And I was like, "You fucking idiot!" Like,
that's never
whatever.
Gonna work.
So, but I did it because my mom sent me these coloring books, and I colored in this thing that said I can and I will, and I stuck it on my mirror. And then she said, instead of saying all these things in her head, just say I can and I will, I can, even if it means nothing, even if it's just words, just say it.
Right.
And then it became my mantra. And so I got it tattooed in Hebrew, and I was like, this is gonna help me. And 7 days later, I attempted suicide.
Right.
So it's just like,
yes.
Yeah. And it helps me now, but like in the extremities, you're not gonna look at the tattoo and be like, this is why I'm living. Right.
I need to.
It's more.
I'm relaxed.
Exactly. It's more when I'm working out and I'll see it and I'm like, oh, I can get through this last set of push-ups or whatever. Yeah. But it's never extremities where I'm dealing with suicide or mental health or depression. So.
I haven't dealt with anything super wild in a really long time. Because I mostly know like, oh, you're stepping out of bounds there, buddy. Like, and how do you know how to cope with that?
Yeah, so for people
especially like if I'm drinking with friends.
For sure. So for people who are listening, watching, whatever, what do you think how are you able to identify? Because the hardest part is like, sometimes we can only identify that we're in such a low place when we get there, but how do you identify it when you're saying, oh, I'm slipping up, or oh, I'm about to get there?
Well, I mostly know not to drink a lot.
Yeah.
To control that. So for me, I'd say I have a decently high tolerance. I know a lot about wine. I've gone to wineries with my parents, so like that is my preferred wine. Like, and so that's good. But like when you go out, you have hard liquor. If you order wine at a bar, you're judged. But I don't really care. If I want to get wine at a bar,
I do
will.
all the time.
Like at like a clubby bar. Yeah. So there, I'm like, oh, I'll have a vodka soda with lime juice. Right. Like that's my. Yeah. If anyone wants to buy me one. But I just know, like, first of all, I don't really like the taste of alcohol anymore. Like I used to, I used to kind of crave it. You know, in college, you're like, oh, it's Wednesday, you know, gotta, after class, blah, 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 whatever. I usually didn't drink on Wednesdays, Thursdays. Yeah. So for me, it's like, first of all, I don't even like the way it tastes anymore, so I will, and it's expensive and I have no money. Right. So those kind of things are also helping me drink less. But also it's just like, I don't like, it's not that I was ever out of control. Like I could always control my body, always very aware of my surroundings. It's just like being in touch with like things that are going on around you. If something's happening that is kind of setting you off, remove yourself from the situation. Because that's why fights happen so often when you're drunk, because like someone's like, oops, sorry, I bumped you, and then things get wild and my brain ramps up really fast like that. So I just know, like, remove yourself from the situation, go take a pee, look at yourself in the mirror, like everything is fine. Like you're doing what you normally, like you're hanging out with your friends, you're in a social space, like literally.
So you just start thinking logically instead of anxiety brain. I need to go get in touch with my anxiety, which is it's like gonna make you
removing myself from that headspace.
For sure. No, that's great. I mean, yeah, and it definitely exacerbates everything, because I remember, I mean, too, when I would self-harm when I was drunk, and I think I wouldn't have self-harmed. Whatever caused me to self-harm when I was sober was way different than whatever caused me self-harm when I was drunk. So I think it definitely just exacerbated the feelings that I already had, and I told my friends, like, look, I can't drink anymore because I'm harming myself. Yeah. And it was definitely, I mean, alcohol just makes everything worse. And then I remember, there was a lot of just hard experiences that I went through when I was self-harming, and I know that if you want to like speak to that, because I would do it and then I had to wear a bathing suit every day, and and people on my diving team were great people, love them, but I never want to call anybody out, but like they probably did see them, and I think that's such a big issue in our mental health system and the education we have around it, is that people are kind of trained not to touch it, and they're like, well, that's their problem, I'm not gonna go there, and I'm not gonna say anything. And I think that's what led me even to cut myself more, was that people knew about it, and then I'm like, oh, they know about it and they don't care
how I can push the boundary.
Right, they don't care, and then I'm gonna do it because I feel more alone now, because I feel isolated. And I almost did it to isolate myself. It was like a self-sabotaging kind of circle.
That's just the way my cyclical, totally. It's like, well, this is happening, so this needs to happen, so this is going to happen. This is happening, so this needs to, it's the same thing.
Yeah. And like, have you, so besides, I don't want to get like too dark, but it's like,
I don't care.
Okay. So have you any like self-destructive patterns you want to speak to? Yeah, besides
credit
alcohol.
Card debt.
Really?
Yes. Sorry, Mom and Dad, I'm in a lot of credit card debt. I was when I got out of college.
Do they know about this?
Oh yeah, when I got out of college,
yeah.
So I had a credit card for gas and groceries, sophomore, junior, and senior year, because I had a car. When I got out of college, it was at $12,000, and my parents were like, "We are not paying this.
Right.
This is out of control." So
what did you buy?
Clothes, shoes, makeup, jewelry, bars. Going to bars, buying my friends shots. I'm still like that. I'm always like, I'm a giver, okay? Like,
it's hard.
It's hard, like, being so nice to everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was a huge thing. And I think they realized the magnitude of it when they packed me up. After my senior year, my whole family came to my apartment and helped pack me up, and I had 6 cars. 6 family members had to go to my house at home to drop stuff off. Like, I have so much stuff.
Yeah.
It's hard. I'm a clothes horse. Like, for me, fashion is a way to, express myself without me having to talk to anyone.
Right. Is it also a way for you, because I was super into fashion. I remember we kind of bonded over that in high school,
I
too.
still remember those Jeffrey Campbell boots that you have.
I know, yeah.
I love those boots.
They were my favorite. I wore them to the ground, and I don't have them anymore because I wore them so much.
And they're not even available online, trust me, I looked.
Oh, I'm sure. And your shoe, nobody can see your shoes, but they're really cute.
They're cute.
Yeah. So, I feel like what's so interesting about that is that
I also overeat.
Okay, so you're a binger.
I'm like, I have that gene where it's like, too much, come on, keep it.
Yeah.
Like, always, in every way, like, everything is always just too much. Like,
excess.
Everything.
Yeah.
I will eat myself until, like, I cannot breathe, until I have to unbutton my pants.
Yeah.
I will shop, and I will push that limit, like, I need a job soon, or else I'm going to end
do you feel like it's
getting sent to collections? Like,
okay.
It is bad.
Do you feel like you're like it's filling a hole, sort of?
Absolutely. I don't have a purpose, so I need to fill it with a purchase.
God.
Okay. That's exactly.
That's not funny, but that's really funny.
No, it's like yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, and so to speak to that, I was super into fashion, and then I kind of fell out of it through my depression. I was like, I don't give a fuck. But I remember I kind of fell out of my fashion thing because I started comedy, and that was a way for me to get validation.
Right.
And when the fashion thing was like, I wanted validation. People were like, oh, we voted for you for best dressed in high school. And I'm like, yes. Like, I was obsessed.
Right.
And then I started comedy, and I actually probably have bought like 3 new things since I started comedy, just for like practical purposes.
How do you do that?
It's another time. But
I really don't.
It's a tutorial. But I really think it was for me about validation and getting people to be like, oh, I like your shirt, or oh, I like this, or oh, I like that. And even though I said I didn't like compliments, I loved that internal, like, oh, I bought this, and it felt worth buying to me. And so that was definitely like a self-destruct. And now I just do comedy, and I'm like, this is the way that I get people to like me and validate myself.
It's that like warm, fuzzy, oh, I got 300 likes on my Instagram kind
of thing. For sure. Yeah. So you think that was definitely, well, that's also another.
Still is. It always has. Like, literally, in 4th grade, my teacher's like, you have to stop unzipping people's coats and seeing what they're wearing. Like,
oh, so
I used to be like, what are you wearing? Like, I was curious. And it wasn't like I look cuter than you. It was like I want to see what you're wearing. Like, maybe I can copy that outfit too. I've literally always been into clothes.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always remember
Still
that.
Still am. Like, it.
Yeah.
I wish I could say like, oh, I've changed, but I'm older now.
So I
buy clothes better.
Right.
But like, it's still that same kind of like hunt. It's literally a hunt for me.
And do you ever feel satisfied, though?
No, because it's a hunt.
Right. So you're never,
constantly hunting.
That's what I always think. Like, I remember I got this shirt that I'm wearing right now.
I love it.
For like, thank you. For like $30. Yeah,
Shoes.
no, those are, I love those.
They're from Last Chance. Have you heard of that?
No.
Nordstrom Rack on crack. It's literally Nordstrom Rack.
Oh, wow.
Like you can get current Elliott jeans there for $25.
Wow, that's great.
I know that.
Yeah. No, but I got this shirt and then I like wore it a few times. I'm like, oh, it's just my shirt now.
No.
Like I was so excited to get it, and then there's it's the need of validation and the craving for other people's approval and attention, and which is definitely tied into mental health, and a lot of the time stems from anxiety, especially where we're from, where it's like, oh, external validation is what I need. It's never, and it wasn't until my mom was going through like a really bad divorce that I kind of learned about what internal validation meant, and that you can only feel fulfilled through within. But I didn't get that until 20.
Right.
And usually people don't get that until 50, so I'm lucky enough to even, get it at all. But like, so alcohol exacerbates it. Eating, do you feel like why I kind of stopped drinking was I also ate too much while I was drinking. Like, I would drink and get drunk, and then I would just like,
I used to get the drunchies. I don't.
But it was more than, like, for me it was like, oh, I'm filling this hole because I'm never going to be able to eat this junk food again, because I would limit it for myself when I was sober.
So when you were drunk, the calories didn't count.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the next day I like looked at the scale and I was like, okay,
I have terrible stomach problems. I've been going to doctors for months now.
Really?
Like, there's something wrong with me and we can't figure it out. But it's for another time.
Yeah. No, I have. Well, it's interesting because
Jews have bad stomachs.
No, yeah. When I got over my eating disorder, I started developing stomach issues, and now I'm on medicine right now for it, because I have some stomach things, and I had 2 colonoscopies last year. I mean, I had like a lot of stuff going on, and I totally can relate to that. But that's what people don't get, is like a lot of physical stuff is from anxiety, and that's why, I mean, I've taken more shits probably at Laugh Factory than I have in my own home, because I'm so nervous before shows that I have to go.
It's an anxiety duty.
Yeah. Exactly.
I've been having those forever.
Yeah. So, definitely. And I mean, any other habits that you have that you kind of want to like discuss? I just think it's really good to get awareness out about the other things people don't know. People know what depression is, being in your bed. People know anxiety is overthinking. People know that drinking is like gonna get you into trouble. People don't know the kind of ins and outs of, I guess, the specifics of it.
Right, like how it kind of manifests itself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely think it's not so much the depression, anxiety for me right now. It's like I can't control what's happening outside my life, so I can control what's happening in my life, kind of OCD thing.
Okay.
So I find myself like cleaning a lot in my family home when we have a cleaning lady that comes 2 times a month. I find myself like taking care of things that I didn't used to take care of, like emptying the whole dishwasher instead of just the top, and make my brother do the bottom.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like I've taken on this new entity.
Right.
It's not terrible, but I know it's going to
it's that form of control
going to like hit another pimple.
Oh, when I was in and I relate to that. When I was in having finals or whatever, all I do is clean. I clean the whole house. I scrub everything, and that's definitely a form of OCD because it's obsessive. It's a way of controlling, and then it's the compulsion is the cleaning.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah,
it's just like I can't help it. And I remember, like, after my dad had picked me up, and then he took me to my apartment so I could get new clothes and put on some underwear for the first time in like 2 days.
Yeah.
He was like, "Your bathroom's disgusting." And I was like, huh. I guess I really did let myself go there. But it's like, I was showering, I was taking care of myself, but I wasn't taking care of my surroundings.
Gotcha. And now maybe this is like a form of control from you flipped it. Yeah.
I shower still and I take care of myself.
For sure.
But now it's gone even further where I'm like, other things are bothering me now that didn't used to. Like,
and it's not, well, people think the OCD cleaning is everything has to be neat and clean, but I think it's different. I think it's more just a control thing where you're cleaning it because you're almost, when you don't feel like you have a purpose, that's almost like a purpose. And then when it's done, you're like, okay, I got that off my chest. So.
Yeah, and it's like my routines are starting to come back, like the things I do before I go to sleep, and like things I do in general. So
what if, like, so this is a problem that I had with my OCD. So what if you were in the middle of a routine and your friend called you and was like, I need you. Like, would that
to
freak you out?
To leave my house?
Yeah.
First of all, none of my friends are around me.
Okay.
They all live in the city.
If I was like, Maren, it was like 9:30 and you're like brushing your teeth or something, you're like, I still need to wash my face, I'll still need to like do this and do that.
I have to shower.
How does that like, does that like rattle you?
The thing is, while that used to, it wouldn't now. Because I'll just go home. It doesn't matter what time, like, I'll be able to finish it then. I can put it on hold.
Yeah.
So before I was like, no, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. Like, I have to finish this, and then when I'm done, like, I'll come to you, but I'm first. Yeah. Now it's just like, oh, someone needs me. Like, this is fine. This can wait. My eye cream isn't going to run away.
Right.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
I'm 24 now, so I need an eye cream.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And, people don't know how, like, far OCD goes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what it is. When you don't feel like your life is in control, so the only thing you can control is this. So if somebody needs me, no, I need to take care of what I have in control.
Done, or else when I'm there taking care of whatever needs to be done there, I will be constantly thinking of what I left behind.
Exactly. No, it's so interesting, and like I don't want to. Obviously, I never want to speak bad of anybody, but this is how bad it is. Where when I was 13, my cousin passed away. He was like 13 years old, died of a heart attack playing basketball, and it was like 2 weeks after his bar mitzvah, and so my grandma, who has she doesn't know how to listen to a fucking podcast. She can barely like text me. She has a flip phone that like stays off in her purse all day. So she has this routine. She's been eating like Cinnamon Toast Crunch for like 30 years. Like it's like every day she wakes up, listens to the radio, does her little workout. Like she's 80, I don't know, 2, 3. And my mom called her and she's like, I can't go to the funeral because like she's like, well, when will I get my hair done? I have to cancel my hair appointment. Like I have to do this. She got so rattled, but like a child is dead. Yeah. And still her bowl of cereal was gonna be abandoning her. Yeah. You know, it's like, and people don't realize like that's how extreme that OCD goes, because it's you're chained to it, and you can't bring it with you if what you need to fix is at your house. It helps
you keep things in your bottled up container, and something happens, things are going to get loose. Oh yeah. So like you gotta this needs to be done. Things got to stay in here, and then I can tend to the outside.
Oh, it is so scary. And my mom is like, what are you talking? My mom, thank God, because my mom has OCD. I mean, you've seen the inside of my house. It's like the cleanest. It looks
pristine.
It looks like somebody's died there. Like it looks like she's like sprayed bleach all over the floor. It's so nice. But like that's how my mom is too. So my mom got that and was compassionate. Yeah. And my mom didn't look at her judgmentally like, how could you say that? She was like, no. I got you. Because it like takes one to know one. She's like, we'll figure it out. Right. You need to go to the funeral. Exactly. This is your like
this is something
your
that
nephew.
Has to be done.
Yeah, so it's
and that's hard when unexpected things happen.
Exactly,
unexpected. Can't plan for them.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but that's what anxiety is almost awaiting the unexpected, and then when the unexpected happens, you're like, oh, but I never knew it was gonna come. But you were thinking about it the whole time. Right. So it's like, yeah, that's why when people are like, oh, you're not spontaneous, I'm like, no, I just have like a disorder. Yes. That like it can almost shape-shift your personality.
Oh yeah.
Into what you do.
I associate spontaneity with impulsivity. And
right, and you're like, oh, I'm not impulsive.
I'm not. I'm sorry. What a surprise?
Yeah.
In my life.
Yeah, for sure.
No.
Yeah, you can't have.
But I've definitely gotten better.
For sure. Oh yeah, it's so funny because I had.
I'm older now.
Right.
And I'm like, what? Why did I try to kill myself? That's such a pussy move. Like, I almost couldn't get I got a D in my marketing class. That's so annoying. Like, grow up.
Right, but you can't see, like we were saying before, you can't see past the moment. Exactly. You can't see the future, so there is none in your head. Right. So, but yeah, I mean, it's so hard, and it's so interesting how you say that things have changed over the course of time, because when you said that like impulsivity is spontaneity, but I was super impulsive in high school, and so that's why I got in trouble a lot, like with teachers, with authority. So then it changed to OCD because I felt like my impulsivity was in control, so I changed, my routine couldn't be out of control, if that makes sense. And I remember in high school too, we both did gymnastics together, and I was really an open book and I told people about everything. That was kind of my way of coping, was like getting as many people's
Always.
opinions, of like just telling people everything because I couldn't keep my mouth shut about what was going on, and that was my way of coping. And so I remember I told you like I had a panic attack or something, and I'd never had, like, it put me in the hospital. That was like one of the first times I went to the hospital, and I didn't like stay there or anything, but I just like had a panic attack. And I told you, and you were like, yeah, I have a panic disorder, Drew. And I was like, what? Like, I didn't know anybody else like had.
I used to get panic attacks like 2 times a day. In the middle, I remember like the worst was like in my English class. I literally could not remove myself from the room. I was just like frozen, like what is that called? Paralysis. Like I literally, and usually I could always escape the situation. Like doesn't matter. I'd be like, oh sorry, I have to go. Like I'm in class, I got to go to the bathroom.
Right.
There was this one I had that was so bad, and I could not get out.
So,
but it's like this. It's this.
Do you know what causes it?
Never.
Or
did.
Sometimes it's just.
I never did. All of a sudden, it would be like the heart racing, the sweaty back, bottom to the top of my back.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then it would be like I would move, but my body wouldn't. And then the out of body whole, like looking down on myself, the displacement, like all of that.
So yeah. No, I know. I have them. I had one 2 nights ago when I couldn't go to sleep. I was like, there's no way I can breathe.
I haven't had one in years.
Really?
Years.
So that's the thing, is that people's like mental illness, when you have stuff, it shape shifts into other things. Like when your life is moving forward, there's different things. Like my big thing in high school was ADHD and impulsivity. Now it's anxiety. Mm-hmm. It just really changes, and I think it just depends on like obviously what's going on in your life. But I mean, the whole panic attack thing, it's just, that's something too that people don't understand, how it's so physical.
So physical.
Yeah, I know. Your heart's racing.
It just like drops in.
I feel like
I'm having a panic attack. Yeah. It's happening. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Have you seen? It's called The Mind Explained.
Oh, that's on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
My dad wants to watch it, but I said I need to put it on hold.
Okay.
I had to watch Sharp Objects.
Oh, that was intense. Mm-hmm. But
I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah. Your Sharp Objects. This must be very light. No.
Yeah. Oh, Missouri.
Yeah.
Unfamiliar.
Exactly.
Just kidding.
Yeah. So I watched The Mind Explained.
Yeah, you need to explain
and
that
somebody
to me.
Somebody told me about how this guy, my coworker, he was like, you need to watch this like anxiety one. He goes, I'm just warning you though, like I watched it and I was like, I almost had a panic attack, and I was like, fuck.
Okay.
And I'm the type of person that like, if you tell me you're going to a psychic, I'm like, guess my future, bitch. Like I'm very, like if somebody tells me I'm getting anxiety, I'm like, no, I'm not, even though I'm the most anxious person.
Right.
So I was watching it before I was going to bed. And I was 4 minutes in, and there was all these. Basically, what happens is this man at the top describes what a panic attack is, right? He's like, I can make myself have a panic attack right now if I wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
He sits there and he goes, and there's all these like diagrams of like what goes on in your head,
right.
And I turned to my boyfriend.
I'm getting goosebumps.
I know. I turned to my boyfriend. I'm like, I can't watch this.
I totally could give myself one, but why do I want to?
No, of course not.
It is exhausting.
No, it's actually exhausting. So basically, what happened was I turned it off 4 minutes in. I couldn't watch it. I eventually finished it like the next day, but I turned it off. My boyfriend like took my phone from me, and I was like, I cannot watch this.
Right.
I'm getting a panic attack, and I like told my coworker the next day. He's like, I know. Like I have anxiety. He's like, I don't get panic attacks, but I had so much anxiety from watching this. And then the diagram led up with and then it was all these jump
cuts. The science. It's not like, this is just in my head.
No,
it's real.
Right.
Like it's a real thing. Things go on in your body.
Exactly. So it was super interesting to see something like that and how heavily it could affect you, even if your head's clear and you're like, I'm gonna watch Netflix. It's like, oh no, this is ambulance.
It's not just Netflix.
No, I'm calling 911. This is So it's so interesting how that stuff can affect you. And then I remember you were one of the first people who did tell me like I have a panic disorder.
Oh, I would tell anybody.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what happened, but there's something that happened in high school where I was just like, if someone wants to know something, I'll tell them. If they want to come out, like, I'll tell them. I don't care. Like, can you see my neck hair, which is one of my biggest insecurities?
Yeah.
Like, kind of thing.
Okay.
Like, I'll always point that out. You know, I'm always, like, out there. So
it's more maybe, like, I'll say before you do type of thing?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'll criticize myself.
Well, what do you think that... Because so many people... I mean, part of the mental health awareness thing is that people don't talk about it. But I talk about it so much that I'm like, how do people not feel the need to kind of tell everybody. But
Right.
when I was in 8th grade, when all this shit was going on with my brother, he was using drugs at an early age. He was having temper tantrums like at an older age that somebody shouldn't be having, and I was so embarrassed by it, and I never told anybody. And then I remember one thing happened, and I just let go, and I was like, this is what's going on in my house, this is why my brother's in boarding school.
And there, you didn't care about the repercussions.
No, I didn't, because I was like, I can't keep this in anymore, and that's what led me to be an open book, sort of, because I couldn't keep it in any longer. What do you think, or like advice do you have to people that feel like they can't say it? Yeah. Because a lot of it's past experiences. Like, I've tried to open up and people have shut me down. That's a big thing.
And you're with the wrong people.
Right. But then how do you get, like, what's your advice maybe to people who kind of feel like they
don't, I don't know. It's just like truly don't be afraid of what people think of you. And the thing is, people don't think of you. That's like a huge thing where I was like, I care so much about what people think of me. People don't think of me.
Right.
They don't think. They're like, they see me, they'll think of me for 2 seconds, it's done, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So it's like,
because who do you think about most of the day? You.
Myself,
who do I think
unfortunately, Donald Trump. It's just like, it's what, if I want to share something with you, like, just don't be afraid to share, because it's the lighter you feel on the inside. I don't know. I just, I mean, I also want people to know what's going on in my life all the time, because the minute I shut down, someone's going to know something is up, and that's when I'm going to know, like, oh, I'm not sharing myself. Why is that?
Yeah, I think I get that too when I don't share and something, and then my friend will be like, hey, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, no, it's nothing. And they're like, I know it's something.
It's something.
And then when they find out something that happened that I didn't tell them,
they're pissed.
I'm like, oh, I don't want to be perceived as somebody who keeps secrets, because then they're going to kind of see me as someone who's shady, and that's
and manipulative.
Right, and I don't want to be perceived as that. And that's kind of why I think I overcompensate and tell people everything, because I'm like, well, then I don't want to be perceived as somebody who's shady, someone who's fake, who says they're fine and they're not.
I am manipulative. So if I overshare everything, I can choose what I want. The louder I am, the more I can hide.
Yeah.
And it's not like I have anything to hide. It's like, if I share whatever I want, I also don't have to share whatever I want.
Right.
So people can know certain things about me and they can't.
Yeah, and it's so interesting too.
I don't think it's a bad manipulative though. It's just like who I am.
Right. I don't think manipulation might not be the right word.
It definitely is.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, what do you mean by what type of manipulation? If you don't mind sharing, I mean,
I don't know, because now that I brought it up, it's like I'm going down a dangerous
road. No, you're good.
I'm trying to think, because like I definitely, want people. No, but the thing is, I don't want people, like, I don't care what people say.
Right. No, and I've always kind of, like, admired that.
So is that manipulative or not?
No, it's not manipulative. It's just, it's being true to yourself, and also it's kind of a maturity thing. Where that's what I liked about you. I've never hung out with anyone who was younger than me until you.
Oh, like, I did not I only liked people who were older than me.
Me too.
So, like, I've always, we've always been wise for our age.
When we were on the same team, I remember we always hung out with the seniors, and I
was like, why am I on JV?
Yeah.
I knew I was the captain, okay?
Yeah.
I'm the captain.
For sure. I mean, yeah, and I don't even know if, like, manipulation's the right word. I definitely think it's just being fulfilled with who you are as a person in certain aspects. Obviously, in certain aspects, you feel like you don't have a purpose or whatever about this about yourself, but there's certain aspects where you're like, oh no, I can be who I am. I don't give a shit about what other people think of me.
Right.
It definitely also, I think, too, telling everybody everything, it's the most counterintuitive thing, but I think it is a sense of control, because you're able to control what people know. If they don't know, they can sum these things. Yeah, they can sum up these things in their head about you. And I remember too where I hear all these stories about people who are sexually assaulted and they didn't tell anybody for years, and like, I've been sexually violated and I told people.
I've fortunately never been in a situation like that, but I would yell it off the rooftops.
If it happened to you?
Yeah.
I mean, for me it was like, I had all these assumptions about people where I was like, oh, if this happened to me, I would do this, but I don't think you really know how you would handle the situation until you were in the situation. So for me, like, when it happened, I definitely was more...
You were smarter about what you shared?
Yeah, and then I told people because I think it was a form of sabotaging the other person. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, don't talk to this person.
I definitely.
You don't know what they did to me.
I get that 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But it's like I say I'm a stay-at-home daughter, but that's really insecurity because I don't have a job. Like.
Right. No, it's funny. It's a way of
thing.
coping. That's what that's what comics do. Like, we just cope our insecurities with being funny. And that's the thing is, I was talking to Lael, who was on the podcast, and she was like, well, if I say I'm fat, you can't say I'm fat. So that's like her form of control, where she's like, I'm gonna joke about this because if you come up to me and say my fat, it's like, bitch, I already said it. What do you want? What are you trying to one up me with something I've already done and crushed
I will
with?
criticize myself before you even get the chance to.
Right, exactly, and that's definitely a form. I mean, that's why the people who are quote unquote ugly in class, they always are funny because they're trying to mask what you can't say about them. And I mean, it's definitely a form of control. And then and it's just so funny how people don't know the symptoms of anxiety is definitely trying to control everything, because anxiety is stemmed from what's out of your control. So, okay, where can people find you?
Oh, on the internet?
Yeah, yes.
All over.
Okay.
I have a Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest. I'm just kidding.
Okay. What's your Instagram?
Maren Drew, MarenDrue.
Okay, so not like that.
DRUE. It's a family name.
Okay. So Maren Drew on Instagram.
Twitter, too.
Twitter. Okay.
If you want to follow me on Twitter, okay.
Okay. Okay. And please subscribe, rate, review on iTunes, and follow on Instagram, Doing Time Podcast. And thank you for watching Doing Time.